Hello everyone, in this video we are going to talk about classical theory and specifically interest determination theory of classicals. So basically इस theory के according we will know that how is rate of interest determined in the market according to classicals, and we often hear that fiscal policy is not effective under classicals. So that is based on this theory only. So when we understand this classical theory, we also move in this video to in understanding that why is fiscal policy ineffective. So when I say fiscal policy is ineffective, that means that a change in government expenditure on tax does not lead to a change in my price and output. And we will also discuss shortly that why is monetary policy ineffective, means it does not affect my output level. So let's start. So when I say classical theory, what does it mainly determines? It determines rate of interest in an economy. Rate of interest can be understood as the price of money in an economy also. So it is determined by two things. First, who is demanding money, and specifically when we talk of rate of interest, we are concerned is who is demanding loans. So if you understand that there is a demand for loans, then who is making the demand for loans? So who can make, households can make demand for loan, right? Then government can make demand for loans. Government, so how much government demands for loan? So suppose it is incurring an expenditure of G and it is collecting revenues of T. So G minus T is the demand for loans, that is the extra expenditure that the government needs. उसके बाद we say that who else demand? Firms make investments. And now who supply money or loans? Who is making the supply of these money or loans? This supply is made by households who save. So savings is done by households, we know who save. So classicals assume that the demand for money or loans is made by either government or firms, and supply of money is made only by households. So they do not assume this, that the demand for money is made by households. So their assumptions is that first there is a demand for loans. They don't call it demand for money, they call it demand for loanable funds or loans, and supply of loans or loanable funds. So loans have been called as loanable funds by classicals. Now let's see how is this rate of interest determined. In any market, especially in economics, when my demand is equal to my supply, it gives my price of that thing. So here we are talking about demand for loanable funds. I can write DL. Supply for loanable funds, I can write SL. So this is my rate of interest, and this is my equilibrium level of loanable funds in the market. So demand for loanables is made by government and firms, and supply is made by households, and whenever they are equal, it determines the equilibrium level of rate of interest and the equilibrium level of loanable funds in an economy. So when I write this demand for loanable funds, I can also write it as G minus T plus firms demand loanable funds for I. So my demand for loanable funds is also equal to G minus T plus investment in an economy. So let's move forward and understand that why do we say fiscal policy ineffective. It is understandable by these schedules. So just like we studied now, this demand for loanable funds is downward sloping, and this supply of loanable funds is made by households, and we saw it was upward sloping. So let's understand that why it is downward sloping and upward sloping first. So demand for loanable funds is downward sloping because what happens is that when there is a fall in interest rate in an economy, so what happens, if government borrows and spends, then it is fruitful for the government, because it can borrow at lower rates and then spend in an economy, and it is fruitful for the government. Similarly, if a firm makes investment, right, it can take loan at lower rate of interest and earn higher rate of interest and earn profit in such a way. So that's why it is downward sloping. Similarly, when I talk of supply curve, so it is upward sloping because suppose my rate of interest goes up. So if I'm saving and I can earn more on my savings, I will save more. So that's why my savings curve or the supply of loanable funds curve is upward sloping with respect to my rate of interest. So now let's understand fiscal policy in such a way that the government increases its expenditure, that is, it increases G. So what happens in this case, as we can see, demand for loanable funds is made by government. So this curve shifts up to this DL dash, and what happens is now my rate of interest is higher than before. Earlier my rate of interest was this and now it has risen. So now when my rate of interest is rising, what would happen in an economy? So now as the rate of interest is more, savers would save more. So savings in an economy would go up because now I can earn more if I save. So when saving is going up, my consumption would go down. Why? Because अगर आपके पास 10 रुपीज़ इनकम है और अगर आप 5 की जगह 6 सेव कर रहे हो तो आप कंज्यूम अपना कम कर रहे हो. दैट इज नाउ यू आर कंज्यूमिंग ओनली 4. So consumption will go down in an economy. Then what is happening is when my rate of interest is going up, my investment would also go down. Why? Because firms जाती हैं, they are taking loan and now they are getting the loan at a higher rate. So it is not fruitful to invest that much. So these are the two things that are a part of my aggregate demand, right? Consumption and investment form part of my aggregate demand. So total aggregate demand in an economy would fall. Why are they part of my aggregate demand? So you can, if you don't remember, it is a formula C plus I plus G. Okay, this is the formula for aggregate demand. And what is happening? My G is going up in this aggregate demand curve and my C and I are going down. So basically what would happen, on sum my aggregate demand doesn't change at all and my aggregate demand stays constant. So if I look in the ADAS curve, so how is my price and output determined in an economy? By aggregate demand and aggregate supply curves. So now if we look at this schedule, aggregate supply is vertical under classicals. We know aggregate demand is downward sloping, and we have just seen that by an increase in government expenditure there was no change in AD. So AD won't change, AS doesn't change by government expenditure anyhow. So what is happening? The curve stay as it is and my price is P as before, my output is Y as before. So there is no change in price nor in output, and we say that the fiscal policy is ineffective. Another kind of fiscal policy that the government can take is a tax cut. So when a government is taking a tax cut, you can look at this graph. You can look at this graph. So what is happening when there is a tax cut? That essentially I am earning more income and now my consumption is dependent on my income, right? And essentially when my income has risen, my consumption would rise. So now what happens to my savings in this case? Would it fall or would it rise? So actually what happens, we assume this tax cut to be proportional tax. So when this tax cut is proportional, and suppose that this tax was imposed on the consumption. So when there is a cut in tax rate which was earlier imposed on consumption, it would be less fruitful for me to save, because now if I consume, I can consume at a lower price. So what would happen? My consumption would rise and my savings would fall in this case. So this is my fall in savings. Now when my savings are falling, what is happening is my rate of interest is rising, right? So when my rate of interest rise, it is costly to invest again, so my investment would fall, right? Now what is happening in an in a nutshell in an economy is that although consumption is rising, investment is falling, and we know that aggregate demand is the sum of consumption, investment, and government expenditure. So aggregate demand on a whole does not change. So AD remains the same. So just like we saw in this gram AD-AS curve, my AD and AS do not shift. So this was fiscal policy, tax cut, and government expenditure. Now we move on to monetary policy. So when I say there is a rise in money supply, right? What happens due to a rise in money supply now? My aggregate demand would shift. So it shifts like this. Why does it happen? It happens due to the quantity theory of exchange, which says that MV is equal to PY, right? In this case, when M rises, then P has to rise by same proportion, right? And my PY curve represents the total expenditure. So due to the rise in M, the P rises by the same proportion, but however Y doesn't rises, and which happens when AD shifts up. For this, you need to get into the derivation of AD. So for the time being, you can understand that when M is rising, P will rise by the proportional amount, and there is going to be a shift in AD. But however, you know that the Y doesn't change, still doesn't change. So this was monetary policy in brief, and we saw that how fiscal policy doesn't change price or output, and how monetary policy changes only output due to the quantity theory of exchange. If you want to go into the depth of monetary policy, I have a link in the description box which talks about the quantity theory of exchange, which would help you understand the monetary policy in classicals in a better way. So friends, if you like the video, do hit the like button and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.